Okay, we're up to Chaf Hey Amid Aleph. To begin, I share with you the following. The Mishnah in Ksubis. The Elu Yotzes Shaloi Ksuba. These are the women. They go out. They go out without Ksuba. Yeah. These are the women go out without Ksuba. This is Mishnah Pei Beis. Right. A woman goes over the Das of Moshe, the Yehudis, and a woman is over what? On Das Yehudis. Basically, Das Moshe. She feeds her husband food that has not been tithed. She tells her husband she goes to the mikveh and she doesn't. Nor does she mafresh challah, which is the misa b'dei shemayim, because challah is considered truma. She makes nedarim ve'in mekayemes, and she doesn't keep the nedarim. We spoke out that in Masechet Nedarim, the severity of what can happen there. That's Das Moshe. It's all their ISIS. There's the Das Yehudis. Yoitzev Roisha Perua. We saw Masechta. She goes out, and women had a certain minig to wear their hair a certain way, and she goes against that minig. The Tava B'Shuk, and she literally is found in the street, busy doing spindles where men can see her. And she speaks to all people. So a woman who's over Das Yehudis, this woman is what we call a prutza. She goes out and she doesn't get a ksuba. She goes out and does a ksuba. In essence, a woman who is a suffix Sotah is over in Das Yehudis, because after all, she's behind closed doors with a man that he warned her not to be. So this would fit in midaberes b'kol. This is even worse to the extent there was yichud. The Gemara Tzush tells that to the following shaila, 3 lines from the top. Iboilahu, Iveres al das tzricha asra l'hafsek subasa, or einet tzricha. Does she need to be over or not? Now, when it says das, it can be one of 2 things. It could be das Moshe, or it could be das Yehudis. Again, we showed you a Mishnah that has both. So if you look at Rashi, 3 lines down from the top, Iveres al das Yehudis, Shein it snua, Yoitza v'roisha perua, v'tava b'shaik, u'madaris m'kolodam, dam b'ksu is perakamadir, the Yoitza shle b'ksu, as I just showed you. So the shailu is tzricha hasra, says Rashi, shemet tachzer, maybe she'll go ahead and be choser and stop doing it. Then tachzer, and if she does, like tachzer ksubasa, ain't it tzricha hasra, or she doesn't need hasra, the belav hasra mafsida, even without hasra, she'll be mafsid. So really a ksubistic, a shaila based upon a Gemara in Sotah. Whether a woman who's over in Das Yehudis, right, she speaks to people, men in the street, she goes around with her hair a certain way, whether she would require hasra or not. Does she need hasra or not need hasra? Mi amina, do we say kivin iveres al dasi leiboy hasra? Once she over Das Yehudis, again, this is the Rabbanan Dekadin, woman should know better, and she doesn't, she needs hasra. Ideal matiboy hasra. You know why? Because if he wants it, maybe she'll go ahead and change her mind. That's the Gemara Shaila. The Gemara is, we're going to go through the Gemara and we push it in the end that she needs Hasra. Again, we're going to go through the Gemara and we push it in the end that she needs Hasra. And we bring it in because of what? Because of our Mishnah. Yes, Benji.
Isn't Das Yehudis, isn't it more b'fahesia? That people see it. If she's not wearing she's not covering hair, she's making the darim, she's doing not in the darim, she's as opposed to the other one where it's more, no one's going to ever know about it unless. Again,
I don't know if it's in pritzos. In other words, the Aldas Yehudis is an embarrassment to her husband what she's doing, right? So the same thing would apply by the Sotah. The same thing would apply by the Sotah, the fact that she wants to be behind closed doors. But again,
she asking from Yehudis part, you're asking from that part.
Yeah. Okay. There is. I started going through a piece, but it ended up being so long. The machloikas between the Beis Shmuel and the Mishnah Lamelech about exactly what the. If we have time at the end, I'll go back over it and we'll see. But let's go through the Gemara. We'll see there's exactly what the issue is over here. Tashmas. So we're going to try to be patient from the Mishnah. Arusa v'shemeres yavam, an arusa and a shemeres yavam. We saw yesterday, a man goes ahead and gives kina to stira to his wife before they live together, when in the state of erisin, or shemeres yavam. Her husband died, and she's waiting for her brother-in-law to marry her, and the brother-in-law gives her kina, and she's nister. And then what happens? We said leishaisis loy this ksuba, right? And what's the diak? Mishtahud leishasya. That we made a diak that she doesn't drink. But there is kinoi. That was we said yesterday. Now, what was it? She lost a ksuba. Lamai loy lahasid ksubasa wasn't the purpose of the kina that she mafsid a ksuba. So the fact that kinoi, guys, is hasra, kinoi is hasra. She is behind closed doors, which is no different than what than a das yehudis. It's worse than das yehudis, Benji. It's even worse. And nonetheless, what? Nonetheless, that she needs the kinoi in order to lose her ksuba. So let's be poishit the shaila that in order for a das yehudis to lose a ksuba, she needs hasra. Kinoi is hasra. So that would be a good proof. Rabbi Eloi. The reason why you need the kinoi is not for the purpose of ksuba, but it's la oisra alav. It's to go ahead and asa her on him. The purpose is to asa on him. And as we know that the kinoi accomplishes certain things. One, she loses the ksuba, but in addition, she can't live with her husband. Next shot, Rav Papa Amar, lahashkoisa kashi nesua. If you gave her kinoi when she was in arusa, good, you can't give it a drink when she's in arusa, but after nesuin, then you would. Kedetanya, ein maknan la arusa lashkoisa kashi arusa. You can't go ahead and warn your arusa to drink when she's in arusa. Aval maknan la arusa lashkoisa kashi nesua. But you would be able to give a wat kinoi when she's in arusa to let her drink after nesuin. So in other words, you thought the whole reason for kinoi is that she should lose ksuba, and we can sushtel this to das yehudis, that you need hasra in order to lose ksuba. There are other aspects that the kina can go ahead and affect, right? The fact that she's asa to live with her husband, she'd be asa to live with arusa now, asa to live with the shemeres yavam now. We saw yesterday the chiddush and Rashi that she's be asa kina with accomplish iser, or the chiddush of papa that the kina would help that is a stira would help that she would drink when she's in ansua, but not necessarily that what she lose a ksuba. I have written over here a Tais Shantz. Let's look at the Tais Shantz. Tais Shantz is on the left side. The im taimar should be a two dots. Amra abaya loyla asra Allah. It would be loyla asra Allah. The lashon would be under the dibra maskal. Amra abaya loyla asra Allah. And therefore, in other words, the purpose of the kinoi is not to go ahead and cause a loss of ksuba. The purpose of the kinoi is to aser. Vim taimar the man the oiser al yichud. According to Madiyam, was of the opinion that if a woman is miyachet, she can't live together anyway. Lam lo lemisli meimer. Why do you have to tell me that? The mahani kinoi la'aser alav shita. In other words, there's an opinion that yichud alone would go ahead and aser on her husband. So you're telling me it's only al yidei kinoi. There's a man that says even without kinoi should be aser on her husband. V'yesh laima ditzrich masnisan afilu heichad de'ena asura mishum yichud. Let's say there's not aser because yichud, because it depends what the yichud is. Kigoyim. The Pesach besuach l'rishus harabim. Now, if the Pesach is open to rishus harabim, le'inyan dine yichud, there's no yichud. But if there was kinoi, it would be aser. It's fascinating, guys. In other words, there's two types of yichud. There's yichud stamazai, yichud over the nation ish, or behind closed door over the nation ish, and then there's yichud with a woman that you had been with a man that you have been previously warned by your husband not to be behind closed doors. There is a chumrah to the one of kinoi that does not exist by the Isra Yichud. By Yichud, we know there's certain heterim. By Labe'ir is a heter. If there's openings to Rishus Harabim, both sides, there's a heter. By Stira, there would not be such a heter. So therefore it says, why would you need the kinoi to answer to a husband? That Yichud alone would do the job. Let it do the job over here. And the answer is, where the yichud would not asa to a husband, but the kinoi would. What would example be? For example, if it's a pasuk rishus harabim, by yichud it would not asa on a husband, but with kinoi it would asa on the husband. That's his teretz. The ain't sham isham yichud. Afilu hachi linyan Sotah havi rishus hayachid v'hachanami aminon chatza sherabim nechnasin la a person go in one side and out the other side. The Rishus Hayachal is Shabbos, Rishus Harabim Tuma. It's considered Rishus Hayachal is Shabbos. The Inyan Haitzah, but the Inyan Yichud, since it's open to two sides, it would not be considered. Mashma Dafka Heichad Yekatati Twischa. Dafka Inyan Yichud when you have two openings. Aval Heichad the Leka El Pesach Echad, Havi Rishus Hayachal the Tuma. If they only had one, okay, so that's one teretz, guys. Inami, another teretz Kegoin Shabaila Be'ir, Rama B'Shili Kedushin, Baila Be'ir, Ein Chayshishin La. Misham Yichud, Rafil Achilin, in Teretz Sotah, Ashmeinon, Masnisan, the Chashiva L'Stira. Rafil Baila Be'ir. Okay, outside, let's just see what let's just take the kash and the teretz. It's a good thing to know. There's an opinion in Gemara and Kedushin that, I think so, that if a woman is behind closed doors with her husband, she's also Yichud be aser and a husband. Frag the Gemara Kasha. You're telling me that the kinoi affects the as it doesn't affect to go ahead and like lose the ksuba, so you can't be poished as shaila about das Yehudis losing the ksuba because that's not the reason what the kinoi does. But in fact, what does the kinoi do? It asks her and her husband. Read the Gemara. What do you need kinoi to ask her and her husband? Yichud alone would ask her and her husband. And for the Gemara, there are situations where yichud would not ask her where the kinoi would, and that's what the Gemara is answering. The Gemara is, which is the situations? It would be, let's say, a Pesach that's open two sides. So the Inyan Yichud, it would be permitted. Not permitted, but it wouldn't be Aser. The Inyan Kina would Aser. By Be'ir, let's say your husband's in the city, where Yichud would not Aser, but Kina V'Stira would. That would be the teretz. Very good. Back by us. So again, we weren't pushing the Shaila again. What's that Shaila? Do you need Hasra by Das Yehudis? Do you need Asur by Das Yehudis? Pashma. Almanul Kohen Gadol, our Mishnah said, these are non-sustainable marriages. Almanul Kohen Gadol, Gerush V'Chalus Kohen Hedyet, Mamzeres U'Nesina Yisrael, Bas Yisrael LeMamzer U'Nesin, Le'Shoisais Le'Nolis Ksuba. They don't drink and they don't get the ksuba. Because again, we said it has to be royal ishus. And since it's not royal ishus, to stay together, therefore you will not drink. Mishtuhud lo shasya, the diak, make the same diak as we just made. Drinking, you don't drink. Hakinuye maknalu, but kinui, you could give. Now, what does the kinui do? Ulamai. Ilo Yisrael love. If you're going to say like the same teretz, ta'asar, 1 second. Ha'asur and v'kaima. They're asa. They're rasa. In other words, what do you accomplish? They're rasa anyway. Says the Gemara, and for the Gemara, lav lav see the ksubasa. It must be timafsa the ksuba. So let's be poished as shaila. You need kino. You need a warning to go ahead and asa the ksuba. Rav Yehuda min Diskarta from the town of Diskarta. Loi la'asu leboil. It's the asa to the boil. It's the asa to the boil. Kibal. That the whole purpose of the kino is to aser on the boil, the person she did the aveir with, like the husband. Did nan. Kishem she'asur lebal, kach asur leboil. Just like she's asa to the baal, she's asa to the boil. So what the kino accomplishes is not goes ahead. It doesn't accomplish that she loses a ksuba. What it accomplishes is what? That she is asa to the boil, the same as she's asa to the baal. She's asa to the boil, the same as she's asa to the baal, but not to be mafsed ksuba. Listen to a Gavaldic kasha from the Maritz Chias, guys. Near Beinai kasha mamzeres nesina. You're saying that if a man's married to a mamzeres or to a Givoni woman, hari belav haki asura leboil mishum mamzeres. In other words, you have two men over here. Two men are permitted to her in a normal scenario. One of the men is her husband, and one of the men is one that she had the illicit affair with. So what does Kinoi do? Not only can she not live with her husband, she can't live with the boil. What happens if the woman that you were with, you were married to, was a mamzeres? She was a mamzeres, right? It's an unsustainable marriage. So we said you don't drink, and she doesn't get the ksuba. That's what we said, correct? Says the Gemara, what does Kinoi do over there? it asks her to the person she was with, right? 1 second. If she's a mamzeres, the kinoi can't do that. She's also, because she's a mamzeres. She's in a state of Issa, right? She's an existing state of Issa of being a mamzeres. So frag the maritzchias the kasha. Your teretz that you're giving works very, very good by an almana, by a gerusha, because they'd be permitted to the boil. If not for the kinoi, they'd be permitted to the boil. But what happens when the case she's married to a mamzeres? She's also to the boil as well. So obviously the kinoi can't be asking on the boil.
Maybe the boil's a mamzer.
And fit Dov Sandberg be mechavim to the what? The maritzchias. You have to say after that. It's sarach loymar. The Mairisha boil hoya gamkein mamza. You have to say the boil. No, but you took us to Dava Pasha. You said it's a Kiddush. I'm going to give you something for the refrigerator later, okay? Anyway.
I was just going to ask Rabbi for that. Thank you.
You get something for the fridge. I'll give you 2, one for Muncie, one for Brooklyn, right? So Geshmak Teretz, you have to say that the boil was a mamza, right? Yeah, or not, you wouldn't have a good teretz. So Geshmak Kasha, Geshmak Teretz, guy. Geshmak Kasha, Geshmak Teretz. Yeah, very nice, David. How I know? Okay. Maybe you should say stare in the morning so you'll be up all the time and answer good things. I don't know. I can't make you totally feel good, or else it won't be me, right? I can never let you
of us in this year.
I can never let you sit on your laurels. You get something for the fridge, and then you get a PS at the bottom. Okay, very Geshmaka Kasha, Geshmaka Teretz. Okay, so again, we're still by the Shaila, guys. What's our Shaila? We want to know what's the halacha. Does one person who's over in Das Yehudis, does she need hasra or not? Amr Rab Chanina, Mesura, Toshma, the Elu Shebezdin Maknin. Again, quoting our Mishnah one by one to be Pasha the Shaila. And these are the ones that Bezdin can warn. In other words, Bezdin is able to warn in place of the husband. Mishin is Scharish Baila. The husband became a cheresh, he became a person who can't speak or can't hear. Oinishtata, he loses his brain, his marbles. Or he's in prison, right? And however, and the whole reason you're doing it is not like Rabbi Yossi, but not to give it to drink. The only one who can make a drink is the kinoi of the husband. Since the husband was not the one who did kinoi, right? They could. Now, why in the world are they doing it? It must be it must be for the purpose of passing b'ksuba. So kinoi, which is hasra, is going to go ahead and pass on b'ksuba. Shmamina, boy hasra. Shmamina, you need hasra. Shmamina, we have a very good raya that you need hasra. Good, pasha. Now, this was mefurish, right? In the Mishnah. We go back to yesterday's Mishnah, right, guys? We go back to yesterday's Mishnah. Kaf Daled Amid Aleph, where it says Gemara, go up a few lines. Okay? What does it say? Ve'elu shebesn maknin lahen, mishin escharish baila, oy neshtata, oy sheichosh besasurim, loy lashkasa omru, elu lepoislam iksubasa. Right? So the obvious question is, the previous Amoroyim who tried to be poishit from the earlier parts of the Mishnah, l'chayri have an off in the Mishnah stating the purpose of the kinoi is what? To pass off the ksuba. What did they like about this? In other words, this would seem to be the obvious. Why did they have to go to the other cases above? Almanam, I'm certain. Why do you have to go to all these cases? It says over here the purpose that Bezdin goes ahead and gives kinoi to a woman that the husband is incapable of giving kinoi to is to pass it the ksuba. Why in the world? Well, in other words, you go to the obvious. So that's the Gemara's next kasha. Read the Gemara kasha. The Kuloi and all the previous Amoraim who attempted to be poished to Shaila from the earlier members of the Mishnah, my time omra mehai. What did they not like about this pashtus, the last Tashma? And for the Gemara, I'll tell you what they didn't like. Dil Meshayni Hasam. Maybe it's different when the husband's incapable of giving the the warning. The lesle imsa de bal klau. She doesn't have the fear of her husband at all. Let's see Rashi for this, guys. Go up a little bit. Says Rashi, the lesle imsa de bal, the ilav de asru be beidina, and if not for the fact that Bezdin warned her, like habi lon lemiknasa, we shouldn't have going ahead and taken away a ksuba. You know why? The kivin the lesle imsa, since there's no fear of a Baal, because the Baal is a cheresh, or he's a shaita, or he's not around, ain't tema bedava in my veres aldas. Ain't that pritzusa yisei rasa. In other words, when is something very pritzistic? When there's a husband around to be embarrassed. But if there's a husband that's not around, the act does not so be it. Because maybe if the husband been around, she wouldn't have done it. Aval misha baila etzla, but the one woman has a husband near her. The Eina Yorim Mimenu, and she's not scared of him. By Veris Aldas, Pritzusa Yisei Rasa Ispa. She has tremendous pritzas. The Ikala Meimar, the Belav Hasra Nami Mafs the Ksuba. Even without Hasra, she will lose the Ksuba. In other words, there's a distinction between a woman when the husband's around and the husband's not around. If the husband is around, and there's every reason to feel she should have the fear of a husband and act in a very bakovitika manner, and she doesn't. Okay, you know what? She's gone without asra, and therefore you have a shaila. Masha'en kain where the husband's not around. Masha'en kain when the husband's not around, and she doesn't have the fear. So of course you would need hasra, because again, there's nothing stopping her. So therefore, the early Amoraim did not like this as a means of going ahead and answering the shaila, because even though you need asra over here, it's because there's no fear of the husband. Our shaila was when there was a fear of the husband, right? Maybe there it's pashut that you don't need asra, and therefore they didn't like this latter scenario where Bezdin gives the hasra, and therefore you can use it as a means of being pashut our general shaila. The very dakistic, a beautiful chilik.
Don't we have a similar concept by Yichud, whether the husband's around or not, no?
The Baila Be'ir is the fear factor, right? I don't think this is fear as much as I'm going to knas you. Obviously, you have no respect for your husband over here. You know, over there, she wouldn't do it because she doesn't want to be caught. Over here, it's less than that. It's like, Iboilahu, Oiveres Aldas, continue along the line of reasoning. This woman is over Aldas Yehudis. For Rotza Baal Kaima, the Mishnah, again, what did the Mishnah say? She gets divorced for like Suba. What happens if the husband wants to keep her around? And the Baal wants to keep her around. Mekaima or Aina Mekaima, right? Can he keep her around or not keep her around? Can he keep her around or not keep her around? What's the shaila? It depends upon what the Baal is willing to go ahead and forego, and in this case, he's willing to forego it. Ideal makivin the kapit. Since most people, Rashi says, since most people we mark in this situation, we're makbid. You go after basa b'nei adam. That's the shaila. Do we say that? Well, depends on the hakpada, and since he's not makbid over here, he can keep her. Or do we go? Rashi says the urchid the bala makbid. It's the normal way, right? Therefore, al korchi what he's makbid. We'll say he's makbid, and she pashma. Ve'elu shebezdin maknin lehem. In other words, the reason these shilas are brought in is because we're being pushed them from our Mishnah. That's why we're bringing these shilas in, because we're using our Mishnah as a means of trying to explain it. Ve'elu shebezdin maknin lehem. Mishen is scharish baila. Husband becomes a cheresh, or in a shtata, or shahayichosh beis asurim. V'yam erotza bal lekaima. Mekaima, Avdi Bezdin, Midi, Didilma, Loy Nichalei Labal. What do we say? Bezdin's giving kinoi for the purpose of facilitating a divorce. Now, if he has a way out of it, how can Bezdin assume this is what he wants? What would the mechanism be over this for Bezdin acting, guys? What would the mechanism be? So we had this earlier we've had it more than once. The concept of Zochar La'adam Shaloi B'fanav, the concept of Schia. So when something's for a person's benefit, we say Zochan Lad Mishlei B'fanav. When it's not for the person's benefit, we say Ein Chav Mela B'fanav. What would the mechanism be over here? This guy's in prison. Let's get guys in prison. And this woman is acting like a prutza. Bezdin goes ahead and tells her, listen, we're warning you. If you're behind closed doors with this guy, boom, boom. If you're telling me the husband, if he's not makbid, if the husband, he wouldn't give a kino, he's not makbid, how can Bezdin go ahead and facilitate something that he wouldn't, that would be chavanla. So Ella must be what? It must be that they could. Okay, it must be that his akpada is not akpada. That's what the Gemara says. One more time, let's see inside. Iboilu, Iveris al das v'rotza ba'al l'kaima, mekaima eina mekaima. Mi armina, do we say pidna debal tali rachmana v'holei kapid? Like they'll keep in the kapid tashma. Elisha bezdin makin lehem. Mishin ischarish bailon ishtat or shohay chovish beis asurim. Vi armin what's about l'kaima mekaima. If you want to say that the baal, if he wants to keep her, can keep her. Avdi bezdin midi the dilma like nichalei baal. Can bezdin do something that baal would not want? So how would that work? And if the Gemara is stomach the milsa, even though Iveris al das he menach nichalei. Stomach, we say that since he was over on das Yehudis, that he will be happy. We go after normal people, and normally people would want this. Okay, now iboilahu bal shem moichel al kinui of machol like ein machol. He warned her, you can't be behind closed doors with Ruvain, and she was, and now he's moichel. Okay, so Pashta is not there. The Gemara's shaila guys is whether he's moichel before the stira or even after the stira. Again, the Pashta is the shaila. The Gemara's being Pashta. The shaila is, can he be moichel before the stira or even after the stira? Can he be moichel? That's the question. Okay, now Rashi wants to learn, guys, that this is b'derech imtim tzoloimar. Okay, says Rashi. Look at Rashi. Shemachel al kinuyav. Now we're of the opinion the kaboi ben shemachel kaidim stira ben shemachel achas stira, whether you moichel before or after. The imtim tzoloima. And if you're going to say Iveris adas shirotz l'kaima mekaima, the previous shaila, if you want to say that one who's over das Yehudis, you could keep her. Hani mili, when can you keep her? Beloy kinoi. Aval heichad ika kinoi v'stira rotza limchol mahu. Mi akri kinoi v'shari loyoloi. Does it oikar the kinoi or not? Rashi says that this shaila is predicated upon the previous shaila. In other words, if you would hold that the Baal wants to keep her after she was over in Das Yehudis, he can't keep her, then of course he can't be Michael. However, if you're going to be Poishit, according to Rashi, if you're going to be Poishit that a Baal who, if she's over in Das, wants to keep her, could keep her, so that lends itself to the Shaila, oh, he wants to keep her. What about ending the scenario that set the stage in the first place, such as the kinu you give? Can you stop that as well? Just like you can keep her if she's over in Das Yehudis, can I be moichel on the kinu to stop her from drinking the Sotah? That's the shaila. Mi amrina, do we say the kinu the Baal Tali Rachmanu Baal Hamachalei the kinu yav? Ideal makivin the kanile me karale matzi machalei, and this is an imtim tzalaima if you can keep her by Das Yehudis or not. Pashma ve'elu she bezdin makdan lahen, and these are the ones that bezdin can give kinu to. Mishin is charish baila, came a cheresh, by nishtata, became a shaita, ashal yichavish beis asurim, v'yam ibal shemachal al kinuyav machal, avdinan midi de asi bal machala, right? Can, again, the same shaila, can we do something that the Baal would not be happy with, right? How could you go ahead and act upon that? That's not schus, it's a chayiv. It says, when stamad the milsa, the maskim al das bezdin. Teretz stamad the milsa guy is not happy when his over das Yehudis, and stamad the milsa, a husband is not going to go against das bezdin. Hashma, let's be question the shaila. Who moisrin loy shnei talmidei chachamim. Okay, earlier in the Masechta, she was in her town warned not to be behind closed doors with a certain man. She was. They begin their trek to Yerushalayim, and we give two Talmidei Chachamim to escort with the Baal as well. Good, that was the previous Gemara. So now, Why? Why do you have to give two Talmidei Chachamim? Shema Yavo Yelo B'derech. We want to stop the husband. Perhaps he'll be with her on the way. Again, one of the rules of Sotah, he has to be squeaky clean. If he's with her after the Kina B'stira, then she doesn't drink. So to go ahead and ensure that doesn't happen, we send two Talmidei Chachamim along. For the Gemara Kasha, guys, why do we need two Talmidei Chachamim? If it's possible for him to be Michael and live with her. Fartig. In other words, it must be there's no way out after Kina B'stira, because you want to send two Talmidei Chachamim to go ahead and stop anything from happening, yeah? But 1 second, if he could be Michael after the stira, so obviously what? Hey, if there's a heta to it, why send two Talmidei Chachamim to stop it? The guy wants to live with her. Be Michael, live with her, Bartek Hanesik, and go home. Fredig Gemara Kasha, Vi Amit, Baal Shem Machal, Al Kinuyav Machal, Lachle Lekunoya, let him go ahead and be Michael as Kinoy, Filibol, and be Boil. Ella, when we don't allow that to happen, it must be he can't be Michael. A great raya. The fact we sent two Talmidei Chachamim to stop, it must be there's no possible heta to do. And for the Gemara, Maishna Talmidei Chachamim, the Gemiri, the boy lemivo amile achle lekuniyach ubala. Einachinami, your raya is this kind raya. Ken zayin what? He could be Michael, but you know why you have to send two Talmidei Chachamim along to tell them this halacha? 1 second, you want to be boil hard? Do yourself a favor. Be Michael beforehand. So, in other words, you want to bring a raya that you can't be Michael? No. Maybe you send and tell two Talmidei Chachamim along to tell him that he could be Michael. It's a very interesting escape. It's a very interesting escape. In other words, here's your raya. We send two Talmidei Chachamim to ensure no bia takes place. Fredig Gemara Kasha, why do you tell me the Chachamim? Let him be Michael and what? And then he can be boil her. Ella must be, you can't be Michael. And for the Gemara, no, maybe you could be Michael. So why do you need two Talmidei Chachamim? To tell him that fact, that he could be Michael. So again, there's no raya. Very interesting blunders of a Gemara. Beautiful. I'm always amazed sometimes the logic of the Gemara, how it's just so logical. Says the Gemara Vaita. Tashma. The Amar Rabbi Yeshia, Shloisha Devarim Sachli Zeiri Manshe Yerushalayim. Says Rabbi Yeshia, 3 things were whispered to me by the men of Yerushalayim. 1, Baal Shemachal al Kinuyav Machal, that one that he could be Michael on the Kinuy. 2, the Zakin Mamri Sharatza Bezdin Limchaloi Michael. A Zakin Mamre is a member of the Sanhedrin Gedolah, who there was Psak went out in Sanhedrin one way, he goes home and Paskins another way. We kill this guy. This person's gonna go ahead and end the power of the Supreme Court. We're not gonna allow that. We kill this guy. So a Bezdin that's Michael, and the third case, Ben Sora Mora, of Ben Sora, who is addicted to meat and the wine. Sharatzu Aviv Imay Limchal Michael, they can be Michael. Ukshebasi Eitzel Chaverai, and says Rabbi Yoshia, when I came to my Chaverim Shebedorim in the south, Al Shnaim Hodali, 2 they were Michael to me, by Ben Sora Mora and by Kini Vestira they were Maida. Al Zakin Mamre Loi Hodaloi, but Zakin Mamre they were not Maida. Why not? So Yabu Machlokes Be Yisrael. So important is to go ahead and ensure that Bezdin is on the same page. Always they weren't. Bottom line is, you see that what? You could be Michael. This could be Michael. Shmamino, Baal Shemichael, Kinuyav Michael. Shmamino, you have a good raya. Now, here's the question, fellas. It's good. Baal's Michael's Michael. Is that before Stira or after? Guy says, Reuben says, Sprinza, listen, if you're behind closed door with Shimon, you're going to have to drink. I don't want you behind closed doors. Now, she goes behind closed doors, and now she says, we initiated the Parsha of Sotah. He says, I'm Michael. It's Michael. Oh no. Maybe after he told her, Shminsa, you can't be with Shimon, before she was behind closed doors with Shimon, then he can be Michael. But once she's behind closed doors with Shimon, then it's too late. That's the Gemara Shiloh. No, you did say a statement, but it's still cryptic. In other words, it's not totally you haven't answered both stadim. It could be she's Michael, but maybe only before the stira, not after the stira, as we're going to see, which is the case. Says the Gemara. Rav Achav Ravina, Chad Amar, Koidim stira machal. Before stira, you could be Michael. La'achas stira ain't a Michael, but once she was Michael, as those you can't. The Chad Amar, La'achas stira nami machal. Even after stira, you could be Michael. Umistabra, and it makes sense. Commander Omar, ain't a machal after stira. Mimai, b'dekama hadri rabbanol Rabbi Yosi, Tanya. Okay. Again, this is the same case. You're going up to whether you need two Talmidei Chachamim to go up with her to Yerushalayim or not. Guys, we had early in the Masechta, right? That do you need two people to accompany or not? What are we worried about? Two people to stop the Baal from being boiled. So let's pick it up at that point in time of the conversation. The Tanya, Rabbi Yosi Omer, Bailo Neman Aleha, Mikal V'chomer. The Baal is believed to go up with her from her hometown to Yerushalayim without anyone accompanying them. Why? Because they have a Kal V'chomer that he won't be with her. Uma Nida, Shehi Bekaris. Bailo Neman Aleha, a Nida, that if he lives with her, there's an Issacharites. The Baal is believed. Sotah, Shehi Belav, a Sotah that's only a lav, like Kol Shekain, that he's believed. Therefore, it's unnecessary to have two Talmidei Chachamim accompanying. So Amrullah, the Chacham told Rabbi Yosi, Lo Yamam Benida, you know why he's believed not to live with her? Shekain Yesh Laheta, because after she is cleansed and she goes to the mikvah, then he could live with her. So it's only a short period of time. Hayam b'Sotah Shein Laheta, a Sotah, he may never be able to live with her again. If she's guilty and she drinks, then she's dead. And if she doesn't drink, she's not mutter to go back to him. Again, she needs to drink after Kina V'stira, right? So L'chaira says the Chachamim, it's important to have two people along to stop the action. V'i amid la'achas stira machala mishkachasot v'yesh laheta dibo in machala lekiniyaha ubol alashmamino la'achas stira in a machal shmamino. Beautiful raya, guys. Beautiful raya. What was the retort of the Chachamim to Rabbi Yosi? Rabbi Yosi, you're making a Kal V'chomer. Madach Nida, which is in the Sukkaris. They're able to stay together, and we're not worried that he's going to go ahead and be boil. Sotah, which is in the Salav, right? Einoi din, that he should be believed that he's not going to be boiled. Says the Chachamim, 1 second, you're making a big difference. Forget the chorus and the lav part. Let's look at the bottom line part. The bottom line is the Nida eventually he can go back to. The Sotah he can't go back to. She's usher unless she drinks. So therefore, maybe he will. Now, what was the retort of the Chachamim? He can't go back to her. But if you're going to tell me that a Baal that can be Michael is after Stira, then you just destroy the Kal V'chomer because he could go back to her. Let him be Michael. And it must be, you can't be Michael. And we place the Shaila, when it says a Baal that's Michael, it's only before Stira, but not after Stira. Shmami, no, you have a good raya. That's Gemara. Shmamina. Again, guys, when the Gemara says Shmamina, that means you checked and exhausted any other possibility. It means Aitai Shmamina, absolute truth. It's absolute truth. Shmamina is absolute truth. That's why often the Gemara will give you a very deichik dika teretz. But even as remote as the teretz is, if it exists, then it's not an absolute truth. When you say Shmamina, it's an absolute truth. Now, we said Mesa Baila, we said, let's say the husband dies before you get to drink. So does she get the ksuba or not? Now, again, she's also to get a ksuba until she drinks. She's willing to drink, but the guy's dead. Does she get a ksuba? Again, when we spoke out of the Mishnah, if the husband is the one that's causing the problem, then she gets a ksuba. If she's the one causing the problem, she says, I'm tameh or I don't want to drink, then she doesn't get a ksuba. Over here, l'chayr, she's willing to drink, he died. Do you get ksuba or not? Beis Shammai said you do get ksuba. Beis Hillel says you don't get ksuba. Says the Gemara, what's it dependent upon? Right? But my comifli, what are they arguing about? Beis Shammai Savri, Beis Shammai is of the opinion, shtar ho'amid ligvois, a shtar that is standing to be collected. Guys, the woman's ksuba created a lien on the property, right? The husband's property is meshubit to pay the ksuba. So there's a lien on the property. Once you have a lien on the property, it's a shtickle yours, it belongs to you. So shtar ho'amid ligvois is kagavi dami. it's considered collected already. So this is considered collected already. Should we get a ksuba? Amid base. Beis Hill Sabi, however, Beis Hill is of the opinion, Shnaro Omer Ligbois is lav kegavri dami. It's not kegavri dami. It's not, right? And therefore, it's not kegavri dami. And since she can't drink, she doesn't get a ksuba. Since she can't drink, she doesn't get a ksuba. The next din of the Mishnah was a woman who is pregnant or nursing. She can't go ahead, Ron, and she can't go ahead and she was over in the Chacham who said not to get married, so doesn't get a ksuba. And then we spoke about a woman who was an islandess, a zakena, usheina roy leiled. An islandess is a woman who, again, has physical attributes of a man. A zakena, once upon a time, could have children, but now she's past she's postmenopausal. And a woman who drank a kos of ikrim, she drank a potent, she had some type of stam that caused her to lose her fertility, right? All these you can't be married to because you can't be Mekayim Pirvarivya. Now it's important, guys, that this Akara, the one who can't drink, once upon a time could have children. She did an action to stop that, but she could once upon a time have children. I'm not speaking about women who was born that way, they can't have children. So now, we're going on the latter part. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba Ravua, the machloikis between the Tanakama and Rabbi Eliezer, who says marry another woman and be Mekayim Pirvarivya, is Ba'akara, who's the Kana, but because those once upon a time could. Aval islandess, Dibri Akol Lo Shaisa. Islandess, everyone would say Lo Shaisa. Why? Because she never could have kids. Shnemar, the pasuk says, the Niksa v'Nizra Zara. The Niksa, she'll be cleansed, v'Nizra Zara, and she'll be able to have children. Misha Darka Lahazriya, someone whose derech would be to have children, so that would include the Akara who became incapable. That would include the Zakena who once was, but no longer. Yotzazu, this would exclude an islandess. She'ein Darkal Hasriya, that is derech not what, to be able to have children. Okay, I wish everyone a very good day.